Good evening and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the day's top stories. All roads will lead to Greater Noida next week. Auto Expo is back after a 3-year break. Electric cars to charge the atmosphere. We bring you the top attractions. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella presents his company's vision of the future in Bengaluru, hails the digital inclusivity of government schemes, describes them as the greatest contribution that India can make to the world. Also asks ChatGPT about the best South Indian tiffin available in Bengaluru. Uttar Pradesh lays out the red carpet for investors. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath meets the country's top bankers and industrialists in Mumbai, assures the state is safe for investments. Weekday of trade on the last street as global macros take front and center. Benchmark close in the red for a second day. Nifty finishing at about 18,000. Sensex stages a 300-point recovery from the day's low to settle at 60,353. Film industry and theatres all set to bounce back from a disappointing year. Big banner releases with top-notch stars lined up. Analysts expect business to boom as viewers return to theatres. From electric cars and new SUVs to scooters and sports bikes, this year's Auto Expo promises to showcase the very best in the automotive industry. Returning next week after a gap of 3 years, the automotive bonanza promises the very best to the auto enthusiast as well as the industry.
The grand spectacle awaited by auto enthusiasts around the country is back with a bang. Having skipped a year in 2022 due to COVID, preparations have already started for the biggest auto exhibition in South Asia. This year's edition of the Auto Expo begins on the 13th of January and ends on the 18th. The big brands participating in the exhibition include Maruti Suzuki, Tata Motors, Kia Motors, Toyota and MG. All of these domestic and international players will be showcasing their new vehicles in the coming days. And here's a list of must-visit pavilions for you. The first on the list is Hyundai. The South Korean auto major will showcase its latest electric car, the Ioniq 6. This third electric vehicle from Hyundai is seen as a direct competitor to EV market leader Tesla. This electric sedan is a full-size car which comes with 2 battery-size options ranging from 228 to 320 horsepower. The car can travel up to 600 kilometers on a single charge. The much-anticipated Tata Avinya will be unveiled at this year's Auto Expo at Tata's Pavilion. Along with Avinya, Tata will also showcase its second-generation mid-size coupe SUV Curve, expected to go on sale next year. For MG Motors, the showstopper this year is the MG4. The car is already on sale in Europe. This electric hatchback comes with 2 battery options with a maximum range of 452 kilometers. Kia, meanwhile, will continue its SUV focus with the premium Sorento. This 4th generation car is a 7-seater and comes with 360-degree cameras, 12-speaker Bose system and a panoramic sunroof. There's a 1.6-litre turbo petrol hybrid option as well. Toyota is expected to display its GR hatchback, which has 304 horsepower and is powered by a 1.6-litre turbo petrol engine. Maruti, meanwhile, is expected to take the SUV path with the much-awaited Jimny. The company may also showcase the Baleno crossover. The big attraction this year are the electric vehicles by several Chinese companies and Indian startups. This year's Auto Expo has, however, failed to attract several big brands. which include the Volkswagen Group comprising Volkswagen, Audi, Skoda, Porsche, Lamborghini. Furthermore, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Citroën, Honda, Isuzu, Jaguar Land Rover, Jeep, Renault and Nissan aren't participating. Even Mahindra & Mahindra is skipping the event. Two-wheeler majors like Hero, Bajaj Auto and TVS are also giving Auto Expo a miss, leaving many wondering if the premier auto event has lost its charm. Bureau Report, Business Today TV.
Auto sales in December have been considerably lower than the previous month. According to FADA, the Association of Car Dealers, 280,000 passenger vehicles were sold in December, 7% lower than November. Commercial vehicle sales were 16% lower than November at around 67,000 units. The real slump, however, was in the sales of two-wheelers, which fell nearly 40% to 1.13 million units. According to FADA, price hikes announced this month will continue to reflect and affect sales this quarter. The rural market has also been hit hard by high inflation and ownership costs. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella has hailed India's adoption of digital technologies in the social sector schemes. In a conversation with Nandan Nilekani during the Bengaluru leg of the Microsoft Future Ready Summit, the Indian origin CEO said that the adoption was the greatest contribution India could make to the world.
We have great talent in the system, technocrats, volunteers. So it's actually a very loose coalition which has put this together. But what is your feeling? Do you think this is something which has global applicability?
No, 100%. First of all, I think that, I had a chance even to have a brief conversation about this with the Prime Minister yesterday. To your point, his vision and even all the programs, the yojanas, and India Stack. In fact, the thing that I'm realizing is it's the magic of India Stack, because everything needs a feedback loop.
That's right.
It's the yojanas and the policies and the technology stack co-evolving.
That's right.
That's just a virtuous cycle that is unlike anything I've seen, and it's just tremendous. And to your point, I absolutely think both of these as perhaps the greatest contributions that India can make to the world, quite frankly. When I think about it, the idea that there is a digital public good is great. But there's a digital public good with, I'll even call it, some sort of new ways to use them to make it possible for every society and economy to be more inclusive, right?
Exactly.
Which is, what is it that I learn in India every time I come? It goes back to even that thing I was talking about, Bashini.
Exactly.
Which is, it's the common man able to use the greatest technology to do something that is useful to them. And it's not about tech for tech's sake. And that, to me, is what I think India can contribute, which is, I think, it's the age of celebration of technology for technology's sake is over. It's about really thinking about technology and its use for everyone in the world. And that, I think, can be the greatest contribution.
Great. Thank you.
And speaking of that, maybe on top of the digital public goods, Nandan, the other thing that's happening, of course, is all the entrepreneurial energy. We are, after all, at the capital of India's entrepreneurial energy. How do you think about that? Like, what are you most excited about as someone who was the originator of it all?
Well, we had the original startup at Infosys. So. But I think what I'm actually fascinated, because in 2016 we had 1,000 startups. Today we have 90,000 startups. It's like unbelievable. And my own journey in this, I feel like Rip Van Winkle, because in 2014 I came back after the Aadhaar project, and I live in Koramangala, which I didn't realize is the epicenter of this stuff. So I used to go for walks, and every small house would have some signboard, and bleary-eyed guys coming out at 6 in the morning after doing an all-night session. So I realized there's something afoot, and I think it's amazing the energy, the startups, the kind of innovations. I meet young people with huge ambition and excitement. And many of the digital public goods that we have created actually enable a lot of this. I mean, Jio was able to scale up to 1 million customers a day because they use Aadhaar eKYC. Zerodha became the largest broking company using Aadhaar eKYC. All the payment banks. In the payment space, you have people like PhonePe who built large franchises on this. So all these technologies actually enabled in an open manner with APIs for private innovators to use. And when you look back at it, the original internet was that. It was a digital public good created by the government. It was used by all the companies. GPS was that. It was a digital public good created by the government, and today we have so many applications. So that's the same philosophy taking it all the way forward to what a modern economy and society needs.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way. In fact, I love the way you described it, because the original vision of the internet was that,
Exactly.
which is it was the great leveler,
Exactly.
so that everyone can build and create, and there will be frictionless access to it.
There were some lighter moments at the Microsoft event as well, with CEO Satya Nadella having some words with AI platform ChatGPT. Just like he queried about the best vada pav at the Mumbai event, Nadella asked the platform to list the most popular South Indian tiffin items. While the list included dishes such as idli, dosa and vada, it also had biryani. That did not go down too well with Nadella, who told ChatGPT that as a Hyderabadi, the software cannot insult his intelligence by calling biryani a South Indian tiffin. Here's the exchange.
On Mumbai, it sort of creates beautiful art. This is going to be the future that you're going to all live in. So it's pretty, some of them are at least very interesting. Then we said, okay, that's cool. Let's ask ChatGPT, what does it think about the future of Mumbai? And it sort of came up with some pretty compelling narrative, right? I mean, it sort of has real optimism that I talked about. And, you know, it also shares. It talks about both, whether it's infrastructure, the tech involved, the culture. So pretty cool. So then I said, okay, let's get to the real meat of it. Let's ask it to rank order the street food of Mumbai. And it has an opinion, so it did come back. And vada pav wins. And then I asked it, like, where can I find the best vada pav? Not that I want to create some kind of a challenge for anybody here, but it sort of came back with places. Whether I don't know whether Bandra wants to argue its case, but it's here. And here's the thing. I then went on to say, okay, write a play where vada pav argues its greatness, and it did it. And so you should say, oh, okay, this is all fun. Let's actually see it. Like, it'll prompt it, and a little bit of prompt engineering, and it came back. Even Shakespeare would be proud of that. The thing is, this is all fun and games, right? But think about what you just are seeing. You're seeing the emergence of a new reasoning engine. This reasoning engine, clearly we will have to talk about it. What's the responsible use of it? What is the displacement it may cause? Those are all real important considerations. But the other side of it is, let's think about how it can augment every one of us in whatever it is that we're doing. Every knowledge worker is going to be more creative, more expressive, more productive. Every frontline worker will be able to do more knowledge work than they ever were able to do because of this co-pilot being there for them. Every design task, whether it's software engineering, mechanical design, architecture, pick your design task, is going to be that much more productive going forward.
The thing that everybody is buzzing about is AI. And, here's one fascinating stat. Today, when you think about AI, data that's generated through generative models, it's pretty much nothing. It's less than 1%. But it's expected to grow to, large double-digit numbers pretty soon. And you see it. So I said, let's have some fun with these generative models. So I went and asked Dolly to dream of the future of Bengaluru. It came up with some pretty nice pictures. I think, look at that, huh? That's where I want to live. It's beautiful. So I said, okay, let's take the other generative model that people talk about. Let's ask it about the future of Bangalore. So we went to ChatGPT and said, give us, what do you think is the future of Bangalore? It had a lot of nice things to say about all of you folks, let me tell you. You're all brilliant, you're all great, except you got to solve the traffic problem. But it is beautiful. Like, it sort of at least has a lot of optimism for what's going to happen. So then I said, okay, let's really ask it the question. What about the South Indian tiffins? How would you rank order them? So it came back with all of these things that I wish I could have for breakfast every day. And then I said, for some reason it thinks biryani is a tiffin, but the last time I checked, it was not, but you know, I love biryani too, so I kind of gave it the prompt, I don't think so, and then it apologized to me very politely and said, as a Hyderabadi, you can't insult me by saying, you know, biryani is a tiffin. and then so I said, okay, why don't you write a play where the idli argues against the dosa as to who is the better tiffin in the world? And it did it. And then I said, why don't we make it a Shakespearean play? And it went on and brought out the best of Shakespeare in South Indian tiffin genre. So, I mean, it's all fun. It's just fascinating to see how these generative models are capturing the imagination, right? So the question is, what is all this? To me, what it is it's a reasoning engine that I think we can use as frontline workers, as knowledge workers, as any professional doing any design task, any creation task, to truly have this be a co-pilot that helps us do whatever task we are setting out to do more creatively, more productively, bring out more ingenuity, break down some of the barriers, the learning curves for every one of us. So I think it's a golden age. It depends. There will definitely be unintended consequences that we will have to guard against. So AI ethics, AI safety, alignment with human preferences, these are huge topics.
Uttar Pradesh is laying out the red carpet for the industry in Mumbai. On a two-day trip to the nation's commercial capital, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath met with top bankers and industrialists. He invited them to invest in the state, citing various industry-friendly measures taken by his government. The Hardsells comes ahead of the three-day UP Global Investor Summit, scheduled to be held from the 10th to 12th of February.
आप सबको 10 से 12 फरवरी के बीच उत्तर प्रदेश की राजधानी लखनऊ में आयोजित ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट के लिए सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं और मुझे विश्वास है कि हमारी टीम के साथ मिलकर के आप उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर अपना निवेश करेंगे, उन सभी सेक्टर्स में उन संभावनाओं को तलाशेंगे जो न केवल आपके लिए बल्कि उत्तर प्रदेश के लिए भी बहुत फ्रूटफुल होगा। इस विश्वास के साथ मैं आज के इस रोड शो कार्यक्रम में आप सबका एक बार फिर से स्वागत करता हूं और आप सबको उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर बेहतरीन निवेश के साथ बेहतरीन वातावरण देने का आश्वासन भी देता हूं।
As a state which is, if it was a separate country, the 5th largest country in the world with 25 crore people, is dramatically transforming. And it is giving us confidence with progressive policies for economic development, particularly with more than 90 lakh MSMEs, infrastructure, sector development, startup eco-culture, that Uttar Pradesh is on the way to be a major contributor for India's growth under the leadership of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath ji.
The way UP has transformed itself in the last couple of years, they have invested well in the infrastructure. The infrastructure creation which has happened in UP is remarkable, both in terms of road and as well as in terms of the availability of power. So I think these are the very two essential ingredients for any industry to set it up their units in such locations.
Amazon has shocked the tech world, announcing a second set of layoffs in just 2 months. Amazon CEO, in a public note, announced that the company would sack another 8,000 staff in addition to the 10,000 sackings announced in November. This amounts to a 6% cut in the company's workforce. The cuts will begin 18th of January. Amazon attributed rapid hiring trends and uncertain economic conditions as key reasons behind the cuts. Meanwhile, cloud services platform Salesforce has also announced that it will lay off as many as 7,000 employees, amounting to 10% of its total workforce. For more on these layoffs, we're joined by our reporter Akansha Chaturvedi. Akansha, what's happened at Amazon? Isn't it one of the more stable companies? Why are we seeing a slew of layoffs here?
Well, that's right, Abha. Amazon, which is a tech and e-commerce giant, will now lay off 18,000 people instead of 10,000 people like it had previously announced at the end of 2022. CEO Andy Jassy sent out a note to employees saying that the company would have a downsizing round in which 6% of its workforce would be asked to let go. Amazon employs roughly 3 lakh people. It's worth noting that the roles that would be made redundant in this downsizing round would be in admin, in HR, in the warehouses, as well as on the e-commerce side of the brand. Interestingly, Amazon would also be taking up a $8 billion worth unsecured loan from some of its creditors. This loan would mature in the next 364 days, and it could extend to the next 364 days, making the whole time period around 2 years. It's interesting to note that Amazon has been trying to cut costs. The CEO says that this is because of the economic uncertainty in the macroeconomic environment.
So how far is the contagion spreading in the tech sector, Akanksha?
Well, yeah, Amazon is not the only tech company that is trying to cut costs. Previously, as Business Today has been reporting, companies like Salesforce, Microsoft, Twitter, Meta, even Google are trying to reduce its workforce. It's interesting to know that all these companies are trying to target their operations which are not productive as of now, which are not profitable. And that is how these companies are trying to brace for the economic slowdown that might come in 2023, as many experts have been telling us so far.
All right, thanks for that, Akanksha. The market continued to remain under the bear's control as benchmarks corrected for a second straight session. Nifty down 50 points and Sensex seeing cuts of 300 or so. Among the sectors, selling was seen in financials and IT, while some buying in auto and metals today. The top laggards included Bajaj Finance down more than 7%, followed by Bajaj Finserv, ICICI Bank, Titan, Infosys and Power Grid. Meanwhile, Hero Motors, Cipla, NTPC, ITC, JSW Steel, some of the gainers in trade today. Stocks witnessed pretty solid gains actually on an otherwise down day. While the market started 2023 on a weaker note, Complete Circle Consultants Gurmeet Chadha believes that a few banking names can outperform on the back of a strong credit cycle and advises investors to stick with stocks with strong earning visibility and fundamentals. Here's an excerpt from the conversation he had with my colleague Sakshi Batra.
Top 3 themes, Gurmeet, if you could share, which you believe will be, outperforming in the year 2023, come what may. We do not know whether the recession will hit, how hard will it hit, and for how long will it hit for. Will there be other concerns that will emerge? Obviously, nobody knows the future. But come what may, some of these sectors or themes that you believe this is the time that one should be focusing on.
I think financials, I think we continue to do well, especially banks. I think we should not get carried away seeing the rally in some of the mid-sized PSU banks. I think people tend to forget other metrics and only focus on growth. The easiest thing is to increase credit uptake. The difficult part is to ensure NPAs don't go up. And that's why, banks like HDFC Bank, while they haven't done well in the last 2-3 years, but it's a gold standard bank. Last 20 years, the NPA hasn't gone up below 2%. And we've seen all cycles in the last 20 years. So I think stick to large private banks in PSUs, maybe SBI or Bank of Baroda. Amongst NBFCs, I think now there's a sizable correction. So a nice basket of financials will do well. Something like a CDSL, which is also they play on structural savings in India with 11 crore demat accounts, right? And now insurance depository coming up. So play financials as a bucket. I think this will continue to do well, much beyond 23 as well. I think next few years look very good. Manufacturing, few pockets in manufacturing, especially defense, electronics, textiles now with India trying to do not only just PLI but FTA with Australia and UK FTA likely. And some pockets of chemicals where I think India is likely to be a big beneficiary of both China plus one and now Europe plus one. So manufacturing is the second theme which I think will fairly do well. I think manufacturing share to GDP will go up, and you will also see a lot of people say, and if you speak to foreign brokerages and who manage large money, you will see that this is the year where you see substantial manufacturing base getting shifted to India. Fingers crossed. I hope that happens. And the third theme, in my view, is being a little contrarian in the market where good businesses go through temporary lull periods. So I would go with technology. I know it's under weather, and if you have a slightly more longer view, and if you can probably go little staggered, I think tech offers a lot of value now with the correction which is happening.
Okay, so the large caps or the mid caps is what you would prefer?
Bottoms up, as I said. So within large cap, for example, in tech, I think Infosys has been a great capital allocator. I mean, returns last year they returned 80% of the free cash flows they made through dividend and buybacks. Last quarter, if you see the update, the cloud revenues were $1 billion, right? Led by their Cobalt and cloud facilities. Deal will continues to be good. Yes, there will be some softness in demand and there are pressures, and that's the reason the stock is down more than 20%. And something in ERD like KPIT or Tata Elxsi, where we are getting more long-term contracts related to, let's say, CASE, which is connected autonomous shared electric, the CASE segment.
That's all we have time for on the show tonight. Thanks so much for watching.